30 people are still missing and at least 9 are now confirmed dead after record rain and severe flooding across Oklahoma and Texas. Hundreds of homes have been swept away in central Texas, and another foot of rain fell on Houston today, which has already seen some of the worst flooding in years. In Hays County, just south of Austin, raging floodwaters tore through communities like Wimberley. Wimberley resident Keith McNabb is with us now. Keith, thanks for joining us. Great to have you on the show. I know it's been a very difficult time for you there. I guess, at least for your family, the good news is that your house was spared tragedy. Tell us what happened in your neighborhood.
It was, of course, Memorial Weekend. You know, we've got lots of folks in town right now, being the holiday weekend. Most of Wimberley vacation property is all centered on the Blanco River, as much as any. And, you know, it was kind of a perfect storm of conditions of already wet grounds. We've had an unusually wet spring out here in the Austin Hill Country, kind of southwest of Austin area. And with the ground already being as wet as it was when the storms came through that evening, you know, and dropped as much rain as it did upriver of everybody on the Blanco River, we had reports of anything from neighbors saying that they were receiving 12 to 14 some odd inches of rain.
Wow.
In a period of 3 to 8 p.m. When that much water comes down and the ground is already as wet as it is, all of that water just poured into the Blanco River, and it just came down in a wall of water. And, you know, being nighttime, you know, you don't see it coming. You can hear it coming, but, you know, we get so many floods out here in the Texas Hill Country area, people get a little bit kind of used to hearing the flood alerts come out, and didn't think too much of it until, you know, the sheriff and other people started coming by the doors and telling folks that they needed to get out. Luckily, we happen to be in an area that's on a hill, so our house was spared, but my wife and I wound up staying home that evening, but a lot of our friends were immediately to the right side of the Fisher Store Bridge in Wimberley when that wall of water came down, and, you know, they got all the kids out of the house and managed to get,
evacuated,
you know, a few belongings, but that was about it. And within a matter of 30 minutes, that wall of water came down and took every house on his street and sent it downriver.
Keith, let me ask you a question here. I'm familiar with the Hill Country there. It is beautiful, rolling, lovely area. And you say that you could hear the water. What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, when the water starts to get high, you can kind of hear the rapids and you can hear the roaring of the water. You know, you kind of, most of the homes are fairly, you know, probably 50, 60 yards off of the river's edge, you know, just because, wow, you know, the floodplain will only let you build so close to the water. And you know, I'm a builder out here in the area, and I know, dealing with the county and other folks, that we have to kind of stay outside of what's considered the 500-year floodplain. And, you know, you kind of watch the water creeping up into the yard, and then it gets higher and higher. And, you know, when it starts to rise that fast, you know, you just have enough time to get out. But it was not pretty. Luckily, all of our really close friends that were there managed to get out. And, of course, all the children got out.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness for that. Keith McNabb, your story, amazing. And we're very pleased to hear from you. Glad you and your family are safe. And we're praying for those 30 people who haven't been found yet. Keith, thank you so much. And with us now, another guest on the same topic, Mark Fox from the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. He is the warning and coordination meteorologist for the National Weather Service in the Dallas-Fort Worth region. First of all, to you, Mark, are there issues in the area that you are studying and taking a very close look at? Are there flooding issues there?
Absolutely. The Trinity River just down near downtown Dallas was up around 40 feet. Flood stage is about 30 feet. So most of that has been contained in the levees, but we have definitely had our share of water to deal with the last couple of weeks. We've had a couple of people, unfortunately, pass away because of flash flooding in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and we're definitely waterlogged just like the rest of the state.
You know, Mark, flooding is no joke. And from what you say, I understand that flooding kills more people than tornadoes. Tell me why it's so dangerous.
Well, I think Keith had a pretty good story right there. Number one, these things happen semi-frequently, maybe not as bad or big as what we're seeing this time around, but flooding alerts are relatively common, and you tend to kind of not really think too much about them. So it's what we say at the Weather Service is every warning is what we want is, well, every warning is a call for us to hopefully have people do something different with their lives for the next 20 or 30 minutes or so to help save their lives, because those warnings are issued for a reason, and we want people to do something just a little bit different. And the other reason, I think, is a lot of the stuff has been happening at night. In the daytime, especially with severe storms and weather like that, you can see it coming. At night, you can't really see it coming, and almost you can get your clues from the sounds or anything else.
That's what Keith said. Keith said he could hear it coming.
He could
hear the water coming. He's lived there a long time, obviously, and he knew the signs and the signals. But to your point, at night, you can't see anything, really. Eerily, Keith told us that he could hear people yelling in the middle of the night for help, calling for help, which is tragic. You say that once those alarms are sounded, though, once the authorities start saying, you got to get out of there, it's too late to plan ahead. Is there anything these people could have done ahead of time to save their families, to save their homes?
That's a really tough question, because everybody has a different viewpoint, different way they approach the day or thing like that. One thing that we stress from the Weather Service is to make sure that you've got those plans in place. You can't wait until the sheriff or whoever comes knocks on your door. If the rain is heavy and you're in that flood-prone area, you should have that plan in place and have a pre-designated spot to go to before the water really starts to rise up. And once you do get the warning, once you do get the signals that something bad is happening, then it's time to act on that plan and go take cover, get to higher ground, do whatever else you need.
You say a pre-designated place. What you mean is the whole family knows where they're supposed to meet if trouble does arise, correct?
Absolutely. Everybody in the family, everybody in the household knows we're meeting at this place if something big and bad happens, and there's no questions asked. You essentially know what you're going to do long before anything really bad happens, and you can kind of get out in front of it.
Wow. Tragic down there. Mark, thank you for coming on the show, and thanks for describing what's going on there. We appreciate your time.